1914 to 1980 and see how far we get. We're going to start with number 144, which is Duchamp, and then we'll see how far we get. All right, continuing to the 20th century here with some of the modern art and then eventually postmodern art. All right, first one on the list is Duchamp. Fountain. Now, this is Dada, and a little bit of just context on Dada. Dada is really rooted in World War I and the disaster and the absurdity of World War I. So this one here is big for a couple reasons. Number one, the ready-made, it's already made, and it is, the artist didn't sculpt it. This is the first conceptual art, and that is that the idea, it was what is important. And it's silly on the one hand, but we remember the shovel and now fountain, and Duchamp is the first one to create conceptual art here. And remember, modern art asks questions. It's philosophical. He's exploring what is art. If an object is in a museum, is it art? Things like that. All right. Then the next one is and so we're still in the context here of the disaster and the horror of World War I. De Brooke is a German school of German expressionism. We have Self-Portrait as a Soldier by Kirchner. De Brooke means the bridge, and Kandinsky, last tape, and now De Brooke, they're both German expressionists, but Kandinsky tends to be musical, and De Brooke tends to be jarring. All right. They're both color people using color to express. The De Brooke uses what they call jarring color. It's kind of disturbing. These are prostitutes here. So this one here is a soldier. He's mutilated. It's not naturalism. It's not linear perspective. It's modern. It's flat. It's expressive. And De Brooke creates kind of jarring color, and it's rooted in Nietzsche. Nietzsche's the guy who said God is dead and science has killed him. De Brooke is basically trying to go into the future and get rid of the past. So this is a new kind of art that wants to go into the future and embrace Nietzsche and reject all past values. That is Kirchner. And you can see that it often has, this is Jesus, but he looks green. It's kind of disturbing art. All right. This is memorial sheet for Karl Liebknecht. He is a dead communist. We are now into Russia after World War I. And he was a communist. This is him. And this artist is famous for showing suffering with kind of simplified forms. She uses wood blocks there to show suffering. Then Russia will become the Soviet Union and communist. Here we have communist propaganda art, results of the first 5-year plan. This is photo montage, takes photos, put them together, and it's propaganda. It's saying how great the 5-year plan was of 1932. It doesn't show the millions of people who starved to death and died, but it's effective propaganda. It is photo montage. That's that one. Okay, now we'll go to Mondrian. After utopian abstraction, after World War I, some people are cynical and think it's all awful, and some become utopians and dream of a more perfect future. All right, this one's hard to explain, but here it goes. This is Mondrian, and this is utopian in the sense this is totally abstract, and it's utopian because this is part of the style, the style, and basically they wanted to create a new perfect world. So here's a perfect kind of balanced art, and here's a new perfectly designed world. So this is Mondrian. A couple of things. It's total abstraction. Just to show you his process, he started abstracting. That's a subway map. We can still recognize a subway map. You can see he's getting more and more abstract, and then he'll go to total abstraction. And it is a total abstraction, but it's also balanced. And a lot of people like this. And he argued this captured a kind of harmony that was above us. And he tried to capture that harmony of the world in his painting, and he wanted that harmony in his architecture. All right, now between the wars, we're going to get between the 20s and 40s, World War I, World War II, into surrealism. And surrealism is dreamy and odd and weird. And I think the theme of surrealism is, World War II, communism, fascism, it's just surreal. It's just so irrational, and the wars are going on. So surrealism will capture that. This is object. And surrealism is rooted kind of in Dada. And what they like to do is contradictions. Like, so this is a cup of fur. You take an object, render it useless, and it's just an odd juxtaposition that's object. then surrealism explores like kind of different odd, surreal aspects of reality. Two Fridas is considered a surrealist. She did not want to be a surrealist, but they called her that. This is Two Fridas. Okay, Frida Kahlo is the artist. She was Mexican and Austrian. This kind of explores her identity. She did a lot of portraits and self portraits. She explored her life, which was painful with her husband. She had a lot of physical trauma, but she was very honest about her own experience, and she put it into her portraits and her self portraits. It's surreal because it's kind of dreamy. She didn't like it, but it was considered a surrealist. Her husband is Diego Rivera. He is also surrealist. This is Dream of a Sunday Afternoon in Alameda Park by Diego Rivera. I know this one well. This is about the history of Mexico. Okay. And here's the Mexican Revolution. Here are the Mexican dictators and Mexican generals and the wealthy Mexicans that have lots of money. And he also has the poor Mexicans, which are exploited. So this is kind of the people's history of Mexico. And he's got his wife there in the center with the yin and yang of their relationship. And there's Benito Juarez, a dictator, Mexican Revolution. So this is about the history of Mexico and a lot about the suffering of people who suffer these, the peasants and the poorer people, how they suffer while they would be exploited by other people. Kind of the sad history of the regular person of Mexico. And it's surreal because it's dreamy. It's clearly not, Renaissance style. All right, then we'll go to The Jungle, which is another surrealist here. And remember, surrealism it's going to depart from like the Renaissance. This is not linear perspective. It's not natural form. It's dreamy. It's odd. And this one is about sugarcane, but the way sugarcane is a crop that exploits Cuba. And so there's like the tourist Cuba and then the real Cuba. So it's a surrealistic work talking about the impact of sugarcane on the people and on slavery and on the workers. And it's a surrealistic work, clearly a surrealistic work. Jacob Lawrence is not a surrealist, but we want to know him well. Migration of the Negro, panel 49. He made a lot of these panels. This is one of them. It's about blacks leaving the South, going to the north in the 1920s of the Great Migration. Clearly not naturalistic, clearly not linear perspective, but very powerful. It's flat, and the figures are flat, but they express a lot in their minimal style, and he really captures segregation here with panel 49. All right, now we're going to go to post-war painting World War II. Basically, after World War II, the United States is going to become important, and we're going to go to, this is Woman 1, but we need to talk about abstract expressionism before we go to Woman 1. Okay, abstract expressionism is Jackson Pollock, and he does this painting where he automatically throws the paint. It's pure creativity from the unconscious, and his friend was de Kooning Woman 1. Okay, what's going on with Woman 1? On the one hand, it's abstract. On the other hand, we can recognize a woman. So he's exploring the female figure here, and he's also doing abstract expressionism. Also, he's exploring the pinup girl after World War II and the idea of women as objects to be looked at. So you can see that's a woman here, but she's kind of scary, and it's been criticized because she looks like she's got teeth, and she looks kind of scary and ferocious. All right. The next one is The Bay by Frankenthaler, and this also I need to do a little bit of background to Rothko. Remember we talked about color people and line people? Rothko did color and Pollock did line. All right, and Rothko had these paintings that were basically people would have strong experiences at using color. Okay, Frankenthaler is similar. This is The Bay. And she basically explores color, and she would pour it on the paint like this. So she's a color person similar to Rothko, and in that context of abstraction. Then we'll go to pop art of Warhol, and we have Marilyn Diptych by, remember Warhol with the soup. Okay, what is pop art here? Pop art looks at our world and celebrates the world around us. So Marilyn Monroe is a movie star, and here we have Marilyn Diptych. She had just died. Diptych implies religion, like an altarpiece, and here's an icon like a god. Here the icon of fame. Very flat like a Byzantine icon there. And here he's explaining fame, and she's going to have her movie image fade across. And a lot of times he commented on how famous people are like icons for us and the world that surrounds us. All right, then we're going to stay with pop to Oldenburg, and Oldenburg does lipstick caterpillar here. And Oldenburg takes just regular objects, makes them big. Big hamburger, big cake, big ice bag. And now we have lipstick caterpillar. But lipstick caterpillar is an anti-war work. This is like feminine, masculine, war destruction. This is an anti-war thing by Oldenburg. It was at Yale University, and it was making a statement about anti-war. All right, and then we have Narcissus Garden, very interesting artist here, and she had a number of different ones. She would have these balls here, and you could look at them. I don't have the picture, but we have something important here. Art is leaving the museum. So she does an outside installation, and sometimes she would be standing in here, and when you came up, she'd walk up to you and say, "Hi, I'm a really good artist. Would you like to buy my art?" Playing with the idea of commerce and self-promotion in art. Very interesting woman. Earth art. Let's go out of the museum. Let's go out into Utah and make art. Earth art, you take the earth and turn it into your art. This one is very important. I think I'd rewatch the con video. This symbol is an ancient symbol, and it's using the earth to create a permanent work of art. And this also deals with the issue of time, geological time. This is meant to be just forever. Also, earth art is meant to be experienced. You really should visit it, take the journey, and walk it, and really experience Spiral Jetty. All right, let's pause on that one. Architecture is coming up next.